Hello, my name is James Bermudez, and I'm a teacher at Pequannock Township High School. And one of the major problems that we have had over the past couple of years is just in relation to being able to offer advanced placement courses to the larger number of students. Because of the size of our school, we have about 900 students, which means that what ends up happening with scheduling is that students can't always take advanced placement classes in the timely fashion that they would want. The time slots don't match up, or they're taking other AP classes. So what I've come up with is a program that would allow for students who want to be a part of the advanced placement history courses to be able to take these courses online. And what I've designed is really a virtual setting that would allow students to have capabilities to speak with their teachers and work with other classmates as well, both asynchronously and synchronously throughout the entire school year. This course would allow for students to have access to multiple documents through Google Apps for Education, which has really proven to be an essential part of my class in general, but I think that it could also be beneficial to the students as well. Google Docs allows for online sharing, communication capabilities, editing, annotating documents, and obviously the use of Google Classroom allows us to be instantaneously connected throughout the entire day. Discussion board capabilities through any type of course like Blackboard would be also very, very helpful in designing this class. However, I have really just focused more so on using Google Apps for Education as it is the most cost effective, and I think it really does do a lot of the tasks that are necessary in order to facilitate the learning experience. Overall, my goal here would just be to increase the number of students who can enroll in AP classes. And this is going to help the school out more so because with greater access to AP level courses, there's a greater ability for students to engage in college level work and be able to collaboratively work in a virtual realm. And I think that as we progress throughout the next couple of years, we're going to see that technology in education is just going to continue to boom. It is getting more advanced very quickly, and with many companies like Google putting out new programs and activities and platforms for students to access information, the entire realm of teaching is going to continue with technology being part of it. As a teacher of U.S. History AP currently, one of my main goals is to facilitate synchronous and asynchronous activities. I do this through Google Apps for Education. One of my more favorite asynchronous activities that I like to do while all the students are together, however, they do not need to be together, would definitely be in relation to virtual discussions. These virtual discussions are very beneficial to my classes because of the fact that students are able to have a stream of annotations throughout a Google document. One of my major focuses during my class is to make sure that students can analyze, annotate, describe, analyze, and understand primary and secondary sources. One of the ways I do this is through a virtual discussion. Through the use of comments in Google Docs, students are able to have a stream of a conversation virtually while they are on a document. And what I try to do with this is after every paragraph within a document, my goal is to ensure that students highlight the paragraph. I want them to be able to have a situation where they either pose a question, post a comment, or reply to a comment in a specific document, perhaps. Maybe they are unsure about something, they need to turn to their peers, they need to virtually discuss this and have a long stream of information. It is very common in my classroom that I like to make sure that I am trying my best to comment back to what they were saying, giving them positive feedback, critiquing where it's necessary, And also having them just have this conversation allows for greater annotation of the document than just highlighting, underlining, circling words they don't understand. I think that this gives a greater depth to the understanding that we would want for our students. And I've seen really great things through this. And this is just an example of one of the activities I did. It was a church and state, whether or not we should have a separation or not. And students had to annotate the documents. They had to read them, discuss them, and have a virtual discussion. This works both synchronously and asynchronously. It could be something that they do while they're together or while they're offline on a different time schedule, whatever it may be. A different activity that I would probably implement is something in relation to this is a chat room, which is called Today's Meet. You would create your classroom and you could back channel while students are listening to presentations or while they are listening to a debate perhaps. Students would need to be on at the same time. I like to think that we could create and facilitate a learning environment that would foster that. As far as discussion boards, posting wise, I would love to have Blackboard, and I think that Blackboard is a great asynchronous activity that would allow for discussion boards to facilitate that learning environment. For the sake of cost, I would most likely go along the route of Google Classroom, creating a question, having students reply to comments, discuss, debate, deliberate key concepts that are being presented. My goal would be to utilize Google Classroom as much as possible because students know about Google Classroom. It's easy to access and it's obviously free, so that does make it very beneficial for the learning environment. And I think that this does allow for that constant stream of information. Students should be allowed to post and comment questions and reply to their teachers' questions as well. And I think that we could facilitate this further. I do believe in the future, discussion boards on Google Classroom is going to become something of a standard status quo type of scenario. And I think that we will see this really grow more so in the next couple of years. One of the ways that I would facilitate this discussion board is daily do now activities. One of the things that I was thinking more so for discussion boards was to create a Google Doc every week that would have a constant flow of questions for every single day. And students would have to type in a text box perhaps of their name and some things that they would want to incorporate and their responses to the essential questions. As far as the weekly content goes, one of my main goals as a teacher even this year is to make sure that my advanced placement U.S. history class is as organized as possible. So the way that I would facilitate the learning environment for all my students, whether they would be virtual or in class, they would get a monthly assignment breakdown. The monthly assignment breakdown would be more so in relation to just topics that we're going to be covering and where they need to be along the way in relation to the readings. I believe that it is essential for the students to know exactly where we're going to be pace-wise over the course of the month. Things do happen, snow days do happen, but the readings for the most part are going to stay the same. We have to be finished with the AP curriculum by March of 2017. So what that means is that this is down to a wire. Students need to know exactly where they are. The teachers should plan about a month in advance to know where the students are going to be. I think it also helps to have the objectives of each of the days. And I think that we could see greater understanding of what they need to do over the course of the month, the expectations. When reading checks do arise, students should be able to have the information already read the day before. So I think that this is a really great way to continue with that understanding that students have to be on top of their game essentially in the AP level class. They need to know exactly what is being expected of them, when it's being expected of them. And this is just a nice tool, a friendly tool that will allow them to understand what they need to do. One of the major things that I like to incorporate in my lessons is I like to create Google Docs that really outline for the kids a little bit of information that gives them the ability to understand what they're supposed to do the day of. So one of the things that I like to do is I have 4 things that I normally have on a Google Doc, which is context, directions, essential questions, and the due date. These 4 things really are very specific, and they help out a lot with student understanding of the information. So in context, I like to give my students a little bit of background information as to what they're learning about, when they're learning about it, what's happening in that year, what's happening in that month, what's going on in the world that's causing this to happen. I think that context is an important thing for organization skills. I think that it gives them understanding why they need to be learning something, why it's important. The directions are obvious. Every Google Doc that you share out with your kids must have some kind of directions on them. I should be able to, because I don't have a voice right now, one of the things that I've really relied on over the past couple of days is making sure that my kids can know exactly what they have to do without me even speaking. So the fact that students can access documents and have very clear expectations of what is required of the assignment is so important and will really benefit the students' learning outcomes overall. When we're also looking at one of the most important things I think as a teacher I want my kids to be able to do is to answer essential questions. I like the essential questions to be the higher level thinking, critically, critique, justify, analyze, synthesize, those types of questions, those essential questions are going to be answered at the conclusion of this activity. So students should be able to answer the question in full detail. Normally it's a paragraph form. I normally give them a little bit of credit for that. And I think that this really helps them focus in on a couple of key components of the activity and reminds them why it is that we're studying what we're studying and how it's going to impact. That's a big thing. Impact on the United States. How does something impact us? The final thing that you must make sure you incorporate is the due date. All assignments need to have a due date. Due dates are really going to give the student an understanding of what they need to do, when they need to do it, how they're going to do it. And this is an example of one of the activities that I've done recently, which is in relation to World War I. And it's an activity from Reading Like a Historian from Stanford University. Students were given a little bit of context, the essential question, the task, and the students had to do a source documentation of 2 primary source documents, which are going to that are going to be revealed. Students are going to have to annotate them, read them, and they're going to have to answer these questions, which actually go in order of Bloom's taxonomy, going from the sourcing, very low level, to contextualization, all the way down to close reading and incorporating the quote that supports their answer. Students would go through the motions of reading these documents, annotating, answering questions, and the students would know exactly what's going to be expected of them and how they're going to be graded, which is also a very important component. If we move to videos, one of the major things that I would like to make sure that I incorporate into my classroom is in relation to videos being recorded for students. I would want to make sure that my students knew exactly what was going to be expected of them. Right here is just a video that I put together that I used Screencastify, or I could also use Camtasia, whichever one I felt was most important or most helpful. I think that it's important to deliver some of the information through these video podcasts. However, to be honest, my honest opinion is that students learn best when they work with the information themselves. So this may be very beneficial more so for directions, information, and those types of activities. The videos are important to allow for student growth and understanding within the class. One of the other things that I would want to make sure that I incorporate is assessments.